about going to Mexico. Alan was howling in the fog that blanketed North Beach. Bukowski slumming in a hotel of all souls, saying that poetry just saved his ass. Ferlinghetti lives in city lights, spends nights painting pictures by the window. Beat, beat, beat. I hit the street and I was out there. Way out there, man, silver plane, give me wings, a bag full of word things spilling from a shuttle that droned me home. Dangerous Dan, the word man. He met me at the gate, said I'd be late for reading needing readers. Exceedingly tired, I pulled my felt hat down. The poet man was back in town.
Mr. Williams is responsible for a lot of the pushback that's going on from here and from his own business and from some of the poets he's working with, making sure that we get published. He push back against the nonsense that's going on nationally. And he has a couple poems for you. This is Alfred Williams. You don't understand that? Okay, everything's gone. Just a second. I have music, but I'm not gonna get to see. Do the phone by itself. My apologies. I had it all planned out. Something like that. This is called You Don't Want to Be Around When the Doge Boys Come to Town. You don't want to be around when the Doge Boys come to town, naked in their cruelty, tearing our government down. Look out for Big Balls and all the other Doge clowns, challenging government agencies, tearing them down to the ground. You don't want to be here to meet the muskman's indifferent stare. Beware, his eyes are bereft of sympathy, empathy, and care. He don't like no government worker, thinks they're all government shirkers. He don't believe in no USAID. Let them poor folk in other countries suffer and bleed. Musk says a quick, swift kick in the ass is what they already need. You see, the richest man in the world, he don't believe in no kindness. Him and his Trump want to be addressed as Kaiser King or Your Highness. The chainsaw is the perfect metaphor. So cruelly and illegally showing so many people the door, making so many good people instantly poor. You see, the richest man in the world, he don't believe in no kindness. Him and Trump want to be addressed as Kaiser King or Your Highness. The chainsaw is the perfect metaphor for so cruelly and illegally showing so many people the door. Can we talk about the Nazi salute? I seen it with my very own eyes. He's a fascist brute. Try to tell me that's not what I saw. It seems like he's already broken quite a few laws. He says that Social Security is a Ponzi scheme. He used that X to promote his propaganda through mendacious memes. So you just don't want to be around when him and his Doge boys come to town. Tread lightly and don't make a sound. If you stand perfectly still, you might not get found. Make yourself light as a feather. Weigh less than a pound. Loosen your grip, let it all slip, and become unbound. You see, the richest man in the world, he don't believe in no kindness. Him and Trump want to be addressed as Kaiser King or Your Highness. A chainsaw is a perfect metaphor for so cruelly and illegally showing so many people the door, making so many people instantly poor. So, you don't want to be around when Musk and his Doge boys come to town. I said, you don't want to be around when Musk and his Doge boys come to town. You don't want to be around when Musk and his Doge boys come to town. Thank you.
Right now, please. I'll get you in just a minute. Every Saturday at 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock in Carlsbad at the Tesla dealership, there is a demonstration. I'm gonna be there, the last Saturday of our month. And I have a sign that I prepared. I saw this sign on the internet. It says Ferrari fast, Alfa Romeo faster, Tesla fascist. And so if you would like to go up to Carlsbad any Saturday from 3 to 5 and push back, you know, this is going to be on the internet and we're going to tell everybody, let's push back. You know, my poem said that when the FBI came to look at my records, Dean Schreiber said no. But if you want to come and do a fast for the war, you can do that here, but you can't see the young man's records. And then up in LA, when the ICE came to talk to children, lied and said they had the parents' permission, and the principal and the teacher said, no, you can't talk to the kids. We push back. We push back, and we take our country back that way. We have our next poet that's going to come up is a veteran, service for our country. He's also a visual artist. This is Brian Meyer.
Hello there. So you can look at my pictures. They're in a portfolio on the table up front. Also, I want to remind people there's going to be a poetry reading at the Mission Hills Library next Saturday at 3 o'clock. So I invite you to come. It's going to be with the San Diego Poetry Annual. We host this every year at the Mission Hills Library. They were hunting for reds, our commie enemy, for pinks and lavender, that gay agenda. Anyone not red-hatted, any not red-blooded, mostly white men, are not saluting the red, white, and blue, any not behind Army green or that thin blue line, anyone not fully supporting the president. The full weight of government fell upon the people. Senator McCarthy, his investigations, with Roy Cohn and Nixon's tricks, unending lists of enemies, politicized firing squads justified by us versus them. Who are your friends? Who do you work with? What books have you read? What is your agenda? Are you loyal to America? Who did you vote for? Do you support the war? Would you fight to defend her? Writers and movie stars beat poets and their jazz, teachers that dared to put ideas into children, labor unions, civil rights leaders, peace protesters, passive resistors, all subversive enemies of what we believe America to be. Those who don't vote like me define this hidden enemy. Who is and who isn't American, now decided by a committee, the Un-American Activities Committee. Straight white Christian and Republican is in, born a real guy or loyal housewife, everyone else the other side. Refusal to cooperate, proof you are the enemy. Being a bully becomes your anti-commie bona fides. You join the frenzy, feeding them names, forcing complicity to prove loyalty. They demanded lists to turn in friends, to prove your side, to prove you aren't a red. They forced us to stand for pledges of allegiance to the red, white, and blue. Trust in God added to our money just to out the atheist commie. Every means to the end is justified by us versus them. It seems like it will go on forever. The mob complicit until suddenly, it's just obvious, the mob awakens. They realize their fears were never real. It ended with a simple question. Have you no sense of decency? That flipped the script and ended our mass hysteria. The public witch hunts were revealed in hindsight as little men abusing power, inciting us against us. The Reds we so feared were not the demons here. The witch hunts in Salem have shown the real demons were never the witches we burned, but those with the torches. We only saw red instead of Americans. And this is from my new book I've just released. There's copies on the counter. It's tipped verse, which means that you pay however much you want for it. And there's a QR code so you can scan it and put it on your phone and share that code with anybody that you want.
Thank you.
Walking down 4th near Washington, crows gather looking down on me. They believe in murder. Well, I believe in family. Here in Hillcrest, I walk by one straight down the road all alone, yet accepted for my weird. As coyotes gather in their packs, howling to serve the moon, and the lions sleep by day amongst their pride. The trees will grow into the forest grove, the waters will make the oceans deep, that fill each gulf between us. Just as stars will gather into galaxies. What we call our family and how we define our flock is made of those who are like us and those who like us. All those who refuse to abandon us. You can call it murder and make our pronouns crimes and make he and she a felony and never accept me in your family. But who I am is not defined by you, but by my loving, by these friends I need, by my community, and each together. Just like these crows have gathered to look down on me. I believe in murder, just like I believe in family.
Just give Brian some more love, please. That was good stuff. So Julio is very special to us, Julio Cesar Aguilar, all the way from Baylor University in Texas. He's going to read next. And we insist on, I'm the coordinator for the Revolutionary Poets Brigade, the San Diego Tijuana Revolutionary Poets Brigade. And we'll be here next Sunday. I think I'm doing the wrong day. Is it Saturday? I forget. We'll be here next week. And if you're on the mailing list, I'll be mailing it to you. And we're calling it Pushback with Poetry 2.
Thursday.
Is it Thursday? Well, I'll email you what it is. I have 2 brain cells left from the 70s. What can I say? But Julio, he'll read to you in Spanish and English today. Me gusta el sonido de español. My Spanish is very poor, but I love the sound of Spanish. This is Julio Cesar Aguilar.
Thank you, Jim and Alfred. I'm going to read 2 short poems in Spanish and then in English. Última esperanza. Obstinadamente fija la mirada hacia la noche parpadeante. Ya son 3 días tratando de ver el cometa, pero nada. No me ha sido posible verlo. ni lo será, pues es menos visible a cada día que pasa. Tú tampoco lo has visto, ya lo sé. Me dijiste ayer que te daba miedo y preferiste mejor dormir. Por eso hoy ni siquiera te lo recordé y salí yo solo al patio cargando otra esperanza, más liviana según me iba dando cuenta de lo inútil de mis empeños. Mi amigo, cuando lo encontré a la tarde, allá por el potrero, me dijo que él sí lo había visto y en qué pedazo del cielo. ¿Acaso en nuestros sueños, cualquier día, en estos días, esparciendo su luz prestada sobre tu miedo, y para fortalecer la liviandad de mis propósitos, bajo la calma de nuestra conciencia, sorprendiéndonos, calladamente aparecerá? Last hope. He stubbornly fixes his gaze into the flickering night, trying to see the comet for 3 days already, but nothing. It has not been possible for me to see it, nor will it be, since it is less visible with each passing day. You haven't seen it either, I know. You told me yesterday that it was making you scared and you preferred to sleep. That's why today I didn't even remind you. And I went out to the patio alone, carrying another hope, lighter, as I realized the futility of my efforts. My friend, when I found him in the afternoon, there in the pasture, told me that he had seen it, and in what part of the sky. Perhaps in our dreams, any day, in these days, spreading its borrowed light over your fear, and to strengthen the lightness of my purposes under the calm of our conscience, surprising us, it will quietly appear. Silencio del ser, callar, ser solo el silencio inaudito de las cosas que no tienen remedio. Callar el silencio para hacer brotar fuego volcánico los ríos incandescentes de la memoria. Invocar la quietud luego y detenido el tránsito del aire, todo sea estático. No se muevan los minutos del árbol, ni del tiempo los frutos. Y otra vez callar, hasta ser un solo silencio, hasta solo ser. Silence of being. Fall silent. Be only the inaudible silence of things for which there is no remedy. Calm the silence to make incandescent rivers, volcanic fire of memories proud. Invoke quiet then, the passing of air detained. Let all be still. Don't let the minutes of the tree nor the fruits of time move. And fall silent once again until there is silence alone.
Place it all real cool. Seems to always work. Takes offs and landings without a hitch. Paints the air with words. I have everything I need to travel with, not bothered by anything, but the arresting gear on the flight deck that slows me down, or tries to anyway.
Julio Pesar, is this your first time with us, sir? Julio Pesar?
Excuse me?
There's a gentleman named Julio Pesar.
No, that's him. That's Julio Cesar.
Oh, okay.
That's, my handwriting,
My mistake,
my handwriting sucks.
my mistake.
Operator error, that was my fault.
So our sound man is here, and every time he shows up, my anxiety goes down. He's also a musician and a wonderful poet. This is Jack Stewart Smith.
I think you set the microphone for Robin, but that's a hi, Robin. Thank you, Jim. Hello, family. I love you all. Sincerely. I am not a man. No, I'm not a man. I am but a particle of sand, lost and blown by the wind. I am the leaf on the ground, crushed beneath the foot, reduced to powder. I live. I am the voice in the night from yonder valley, crying of coyotes. I take heed. I am the raven, jostling about in free fall. I lend my intuition and perceive. I am the tears of the grandmothers that dried on the earth but never lost their loving whisper. I am the laughing child, running through tall grass without fear or bad intention. I am the witness that has seen too much sorrow, willing to testify. I take the stand. I am the song of lost ancestors and civilizations. I carry their message. I have their blood. I am the fist willing to defend justice, extending a freedom, extending peace. No, I am not a man. Thank you. I listen to the birds. I listen to the birds and I hear them calling. I hear them sound alarms. When one sounds an alarm, all the birds swiftly react and fly to safety. Should we humans be watching each other for warning signs? And can we sound our alarm when we see or feel danger approaching? I stand today with so many others, listening, watching, ready to alert the tribe, ready to react as needed. As in the tribe, we will not be alone. Take heed, sisters and brothers, take heed. We must open our eyes, open our hearts, and listen carefully. The tide is rising, and the wave may come at any time. Thank you.
I was at a celebration of life in North Malibu yesterday, and Roberta Cadero has crossed over. She was a Native American monitor. There's only 2% of our wetlands left, our California wetlands. And when the developers were going to tell their lies about how they weren't going to harm the wetlands, the government would send her to monitor what they were saying. And after a while, when one of those conferences was called, they would call the government. They say, "Could you not send Roberta Cadero, please?" No, we're going to send her. And there was so many Indians there and bird singers and elders that loved her. I kind of feel like I need to mention her name because in that talking circle we did the last 5 years after she had a stroke and she couldn't talk anymore, which we would a lot of us would show up at 3 o'clock on Zoom And we would sing, we would say some prayers, and sometimes she could hum one of our songs. And the other elder that was there told me one time after I had shared, Jim, you're watching too much news. You got to go outside and talk to a crow. You got to talk to your hummingbirds. You got to talk to your plants. And so Jack and Lonnie, his wife, they gave me a shower curtain with a crow on it. So every morning when I go in, I name the crow. His name is Billy Wilson. So I'm a friend of Billy Wilson's. God bless you. We have a lot of talent in this room, and this man is no exception. He was also noticed by Jimmy Collins. Jimmy Collins called him his friend. Jimmy Collins considered him an equal writer. This is Jesse Cunningham.
Hi, I'm Jesse Gene Cunningham, or JG Cunningham. Here we go. Drums, horns, and strings. Drums beat furious, horses' hooves, shod with iron, cranking gears, turning wheels, heart booming beneath animal skin, hard stone hurling, pelt down, other sounds, boulder sink below. Horns are sediment, providing form, stirring underwater clouds of mud and silt. Bray, sweet harmonies, screech, brazen riffs, fit notches and slots, crunch out mean, solid walls. Horns, such heavy ballast. Strings fly, elusive birds, glimpse vague shape shadows from the corner of the eye, unseen when looked upon, yet heard singing, free from gravity, hinting, highlighting, dissipating wisps swell, fade, melodies hide, bleed between interstices of sound and silence. 2. The music moves, fleeting prey, well-oiled, sleek, efficient, predator, machine, breathes, consumes, leaves trails of bones, fresh flowers, bloom in the wake. The music falls together as it pulls apart, union, division with structure, amorphous, organic, pulse, expand, contract, drums, horns, and strings.
Thank you, Jesse. Good job. I think I introduced this next poet over and over again as how he taught history, high school history for 2 millenniums, but I think it was 3. This is Chris Ernest Nelson.
Well, in that business, it seems like every day is an infinity. The words are dead until they're read. I'm Chris Ernest Nelson, and I'll be reading today my poem from my book Harvest, 6th edition, Indulgence of Shadow. The apathetic sun slips off her casual perch and drops disgraced into the absolving sea, while the witness world, gasping a breath of remorseful breeze, prompted by the shadow, watches the colors bleed from the permeate palette. What ambivalent light made true, the retrospective fresco envelope is posted away as the dissolving cast ascends to fill her place. The tangerine sighs of her formal penance echo deep into the hollow font, while the votary chorus sings requiem in the conscience choir. And as she sinks, her last arms grasping at chances, she pulls all daylight deceptions down. What colors could not prove, now in the black halo finds confidence. Naked and invisible, the night waits for the sins of faces to burden the sun away. Then his fancy feeds shamelessly in darkness, and it keeps his excuse well, clamoring the discandescent carousel to ride rogue the blame-bent manes of gloom. No gasping, no sweating to mar this fervid night's descent into secrets. No one to dare tell, no one to bear witness of the prize. Anonymous, the beast cowers to no guilt. Daytime pays her debt, but the nocturnal animal licks shame off his gleaming teeth and grins. Thank you for listening. Remember, we're recording, and so if you are listening on Zoom right now, because we are on the internet, this is the Space Bar Cafe and Wine Bistro at 7454 University Avenue. I think the best deli in San Diego, certainly with the best coffee, and they usually have some sale on wines. So please come down and support the Space Bar, and come down on second Sunday and be with us, because like I said before, there's people that have been here since the beginning in 2011. That's really, I'm always glad to see you. You keep my sanity, and you are my America. You do not spell America with 3 Ks. Thank you. It's time for our feature, and Mr. Salisbury is the first poet laureate of San Diego. He was selected as the first poet laureate in 2021 during COVID. And he is the winner of the 2015 Main Street Rag Poetry Prize for his book, Miss Desert Inn. His second book, Please Write and Tell Me What I Look Like When You First Met Me, published by Holan in 2023. Ron has taught poetry for over 45 years. For the past 6 years, he has taught the certificate in poetry for San Diego's Writers, Inc. And what I can say about him is every time I run into him at a poetry event, he always makes me feel like I'm his best friend. And most of the people that you talk to about Ron will say the exact same thing about him. He's a humble, talented man. This is our feature for today, Ron Salisbury. Thank you, Jim. Wow. Takes me a while to get settled. Get the right glasses, otherwise I'll never be able to see anything. And since there's no light here, there's not a chance I'll see anything anyway, so. I may have to,
You want us to turn on the backup lights?
would you do that, please? And while he's doing that, I see so many people there that I haven't seen in a while, and it's so wonderful. And I have mentioned and talked to most of you, but one person that I haven't seen since way before COVID was Myron. And it's good to see you, Myron. And all the rest of you too, really. The other thing I was gonna mention, because I heard the blender, up there, and it's very nicely quiet, and it's around the corner. Have you ever been to a health food restaurant where they have natural carrot juice? And they put it through that grinder? I used to go to
weekly or monthly to a poetry reading thing in Cotati, Northern California, just north of San Francisco. Yeah, and it was a little health food restaurant, and we had a little corner where a friend of mine had a reading series. What would happen is if somebody didn't like the poet, they'd go over and order fresh carrot chicken. And that was in my mind as I was listening there. This is very gentle here. I'm going to read some sonnets today, and Joe had a 14-liner. I was very happy with that. Now, don't panic. These aren't your grandmother's sonnets. You know, the William Shakespeare kind with 14 lines and 3 quatrains and a couplet at the end and all kinds of rhyme, and they're about unrequited love. These are American sonnets. Americans have done wonders with sonnets. If you look carefully at recent publications over the last decade and online ones too, you can find, if you know what you're looking for, just tons of American sonnets. They're everywhere. A book of American sonnets won the Pulitzer Prize just a couple of years ago. It's a book called Frank by Diane Seuss. And Terrence Hayes, another great American poet, published a book of total American sonnets. Every one of them had the same title, and the book had the same title. It was American Sonnets for My Past and Future Assassin. So the American sonnet breaks all the rules of what it is supposed to be as a sonnet. The American sonnet has only one thing. It has 14 lines. Usually the lines are somewhat long. They go across the page. They're 10, 15 syllables. That's what it, but not always. And sometimes there's rhyming. Usually there's internal rhyming, but not always. That's what it. And they could be about any old thing. They're not just about unrequited love. One thing, so let me see here. Give you an idea what they look like. They're very noticeable. You look at it, you see it's a block. That's usually what the American sonnet looks like. If you're looking for them online or in a book, they're usually this block, 14 lines. One thing that happens with only 14 lines is you have to get to what the poem's about pretty quick. You know, you have to decide what the meat of the poem is and not include all of the asides, the list of characters, the adjectives and adverbs, all the doodads of poetry. You have to get to the meat. And then what are my sonnets about? Well, now that I've got to the age that I am, I write about being at this age that I am. You know, this age has a shortened kind of future, which I never thought about before. You know, when you're 20, 30, very seldom ever think about future. You just think it's forever out there. Now there's a contemplation to take a look at what you have left and what you may do with it, and how you have lived to be this long and what it's like. Yeah. Very first poem is called Untrustworthy. I was this came from an experience of being up very early in the morning, taking my dog out to the little lawn by my apartment building. And the sun was just coming up, and I was holding my hands up, it was behind me, and I could see the shadow out on the lawn. And that inspired all of this. The poem's a little bit about happiness and how sometimes happiness is hard to take in. We're more used to being unhappy. So, untrustworthy. My arms reach out, Christ or a cormorant dying, a shadow on the lawn from the fresh sun crawling past the low dawn, the dog running laps around the night's accumulated smells. Here a poodle, bulldog, 2 possums were in the hedge. I am neither bird nor the other, and not angry, but happy, and that's worse. What to do with this cheerful immigrant? Happy, arriving with a pillowcase stuffed with underwear and 2 sweaters. Where do I find room for him? Happy. Failure is the known, the 9th bong at 9 o'clock, the little lump when the doctor looks at you over his glasses. My arms grow tired. The dog has finished his business and wants in. I want to, but I'm scared to lower my arms and begin. Happy. What books there are about this usually do not end well. Oh, here's the other thing, if you clap after every one of these damn points, you're gonna throw my timing. So, wait till the end and see if I heard. Waiting for my latte. I would like to stand here and not think about one damn thing. But no, there's always brain traffic, the clatter of expectation, promise. Why I didn't call Rachel Jack back 40 years ago. How much I hate regret and the noise that settles around my head like throws when the world slows to a long line. SeaWorld, Vaughn's, the post office. Couldn't I just rest here, shifting one foot in the other, wondering how the guy ahead keeps his pants up? Simple stuff. But no, it's always St. Augustine's proof of the existence of God. Afghanistan, the short lives of dogs, and Rachel Jack, for Christ's sakes, Rachel Jack. 1 week after his birthday, they're going to poke a needle in his eye. Says it might make him see better. This is what happens at 81. What is there to see at 81 that he saw at 80 that needs more clarity? The future seems to have some kind of mange and is caterwauling down the block. Are you sure I need to see this more clearly? So constellations in the sky that we look at, and we look them up and it's Orion and there's the belt, there's the 3 stars, and somebody sees all of Orion. And I would like to see some other constellations. And so I look up there and I see one that looks like a yak. So I have the constellation Yak. And it's only one time a year because we are kind of in the same spot and we move around. So the stars are here and we move. And so we only see the constellation at one time each year. It's with it. And it used to be that when that constellation came up, it was time to plant something. We use that as a time of season of harvest or season of planting. And so I imagine it across the street from when I was a child with a neighbor. Legacy. When the constellation Yak was in the northern sky, raised 4 foot above Edmore's chimney, it was time to plant tomatoes. Then June leached, then went July, a piling up of consequences. Each day left remnants the thickness of mud. But who carries rubber boots in their trunk? Each night I tried to scrub away the evidence, but time is a stain. No borax, no seltzer. My hands no longer smell like Mondays. Whatever brought me here, I have been warned. What is the perfect pitch of loneliness? The shape of lightning. What would dream such accumulation? Whatever God gives, he takes in the end. And you end up with diddly spot. The gate. Now, this is for some of us who wonder about the premise of heaven and who's in charge of letting you in. The gate. At the back stairs to heaven, the gatekeepers are the dogs you own. They get to decide. At the first landing sit your ex-wives, swatting flies with folded newspapers, the ones in your obituary. Because the front door is undoubtedly locked, this is the only way in. It's always too late to reconsider what the dogs may be thinking, not to discount the planetary considerations of ex-wives who've had a chance to compare notes. Hearken, you poor living saps. Consider a few steps they teach at those meetings, especially the ones where you ask forgiveness and give yourself over to a higher power. Or at least over to the dog own, who may put in a good word at the gate. Or maybe the current wife, who asks you to hang up the bath mat, bring home milk, put down the toilet seat. Now, this one is called aioli. Aioli is that wonderful condiment. It's a little creamy. It has a little taste of relish in it, maybe something a little tart. It's just this wonderful condiment that's there. Aioli. For the single large crab cake we shared, I mixed into the safflower oil mayonnaise a tablespoon of cold pressed olive oil from Napa, a teaspoon of curry powder from the unlabeled bottle, more turmeric and cumin, a bit of dried basil, almond sweet relish, capers, and yellow mustard. Now, we need something more, a counterweight, to make her appreciate everything else. A splash of rice. Perfect. Wow, she said, this is perfect. It had to be, I answered. It had to be perfect. So you'd leave your husband, sell your house, everything, and move in with me in this one-bedroom apartment with bars. She leaned over and touched the aioli with her tongue tip. On second taste, she said, it's a bit off. Adaption. What you do not have, you notice everyone else has. Take hair or waistline, disposable income, a fulfilling relationship, although the word fulfilling has its problem. My friend detests much of her boyfriend, but detests being alone more. I had forgot I was poor until I met a woman who wasn't. My 15-year-old van has a patina of dog hair inside, questionable working windows, heater, and a blinking dashboard light that I had adapted to until I drove her car. Can you take it through the car wash? She asked. What we do not have, we get used to, like your hands being empty until somebody holds them. Now, in this poem, I mentioned Uncle Linwood. Actually, he wasn't my uncle. It was some buttonhole relationship. I don't know what it was, but the one thing about Linwood, going way back, was that he was a relative that got hit by lightning. So many things can ruin a picnic. There is both fear and fascination with how lightning may strike the only tall thing in a field of fescue. Take my Uncle Linwood, for instance, who often walked into his 10-acre holding with one overgrown crab tree to see if the hand of God would reach out and slap that unpruned spire, until one time God passed over the obvious and took aim at Linwood. We are all fascinated with chance and the seduction of fatal danger. Take marriage, for instance. Less the hand of God than the spite of Eunice, who finally, clearly sees your lack of ambition as lack of ambition and not an artistic streak. This one is the title of a car from 1967. 1967 Dodge Hemi. Hemi was a type of engine, and this was a beast of an eight-cylinder engine. That was a muscle car from that period of time. 1967 Dodge Hemi. I've never owned the car I wanted. When I could afford it, something always happened. Sometimes good sense. Like test driving an old Cadillac Coupe de Ville around for an hour until she said, you know, Hillary needs braces. And now, even if I could afford some piece of rolling iron, I worry I'd look like all those duffers with Greek fisherman caps covering their cul-de-sac hair, arm out the window of some V8 from their teenage dreams, everyone shaking their head as he drives by, exhaust muttering foul in the air. Einstein said time is malleable. Before Christianity, all time was in a circle. Stephen Hawking in the Maya movement. The dog believes the bowl will fill with kibble tomorrow. It's terrifying. We begin and we end in diapers. Because I've either squandered or lost most everything chasing desire, I now just want a car without a stuck valve, no oil leak, a driver's window that rolls all the way down, and a radio that gets FM. Just like when I was 16, and desire was, everywhere. This one is a double sonnet. Show you, looks like two of them. Sometimes a crown of sonnets is 6. This one is 2 sonnets. Here is the gut of joy. Short is your stay here, although being in the middle, you often forget, obsessed as we are with over there, or next, which must be better. Friends, nothing better than now. What was is fantasy, happened to another who's much younger. And the next will come unbidden too soon. The light of future is not ignorant. There, a dog waits, and you lean on me with a spoonful. I'm practicing my spiel for when I arrive. I would like to step outside myself just for a bit to see what I look like in this life. Disguised for me as it is by the cloaks, fedoras, and gloves we dress ourselves. Would I see the tattoos, the collection of shoes? Exactly how tall I really am, not the height apparent from inside here. Future reaches back to the present with astonishing regularity, anxious to be on its way. And it seems miffed that I hate it. How curious. The day is ended a little early, around 11. Wind the clock, let the cat out, and let the ghosts in. I have set up the card table, laid out their favorite bicycle deck. They know where the wine is kept. And I retire to my bed of potatoes, dreading the symphonies they listen to, playing hearts. It's at night you realize the grief that time must take everything. I have traveled a long way to the edge, dragging a sled of words. I'm tired. Language has ruined me. I am here, shouting into my notebook. Once a man has sold a poem, he's not good for much else. What do we know of this tilting life except it needs a matchbook under the one leg? Oh Lord, if only it was this easy. When he wasn't looking, I went through the book, erased all of the notes beside my name. This last poem goes all the way back to 1962. I used to make my living as an actor way back then, and I would get jobs that would be 6 months here, and I couldn't get anything long term. Wasn't that many jobs that were long term, but I get 6 months, I get 3 months, all on the East Coast. But I was of draft age, and so it was common knowledge how to manipulate that at that time, because there was a lot of actors doing the same thing. Was that when you went to a new location, you notified your old draft board and said, I now have a new permanent location. And it would take 6 months for the mail to catch up. By that time, you've gone to another one, and you write back and say, my new permanent location. I can't remember how many there were. There were quite a few, but the last 2 was New York City and Baltimore, Maryland. And on this night, or a night in December, 9 o'clock at night, the only night I was off when the theater was dark, there's a knock on my apartment door. And this apartment was in a weird building. I don't know how anybody ever found me. No, the only person that ever knocked on the door was these 3 guys. And I opened the door at 9 at night. They've got they're like from Central Casting. They've got hats on, they got overcoats, black suit, white shirt, little thin tie. They were from the FBI, and they handed me a notice that said, you will take your medical, you'll take your physical December 31st in New York City. And all I could think of was, who had spent all that money to find me, the itinerant actor, in this building? So the wind, while just pain, felt like hope, like release at 11 a.m., December 31st, 1962, at the tip of Manhattan, the one fingering Staten Island. The brutish December made wind canyons of the jammed together office buildings, the sky a damp, dirty dish rag. I had been almost in the army before. Vietnam was beginning to moan, soon would be a rage. Fewer than 3,000 had died, a paltry pain then we've come to feel. Not enough would join, so the draft plucked the young, not in college, those with just a blush of health, or without a scheme, a family friend in Congress, or the will to take a bus to Canada. I hadn't thought things through, but I knew I would die. That much was clear. What wasn't clear was, what will we do? Who were we saving, and from what? 6 of us pushed out the front door of the Whitehall Street Induction Center, into December blowing through the streets like enemy fire, taking shelter on the front stoop of a bar that opened at 6 for the dock workers, either going on or leaving work, putting our coins and rumpled ones together for each a beer, the first toast to a new life, or a life given back. 3 guys were gay, and 3 of us said we. The Army said we were all unfit for command. Within 6 months, they would change their minds. 70% of rich white guys who knew the trick couldn't all be. We were leaders that day. For most of us, the first time. We 6, tasting that sweet beer at 11 a.m., then scattering to spread ourselves across what life we had.
Let's get some more love for Ron. Very nice, good stuff. So Jimmy Collins was really big about supporting the artist community. So let's remember Palabra, which is over at Bread and Salt over by Chicano Park. It's on Thursday night. I think it's the 3rd Thursday of the month. Let's remember Black Expressions, which is on Friday nights over at St. Paul's Cathedral in Hillcrest. And if you know of another open mic that you would like to recommend to the audience, please do that. Let's support our poetry brothers and sisters that way. It's really important to have that community, because there's a lot of hate and ignorance that's made a comeback, and we want to push back in whatever way we can. So let's continue on with the poetry. We have another veteran. I see him on most Fridays over at an arts and crafts session in Chula Vista at the Veterans Center. And he also has a way with words. He's a very strong poet. He is in the Veterans chapter of the San Diego Poetry Annual. And if you're thinking about maybe you haven't been published yet and you're interested in being published, when I approached him to do this, he did. He submitted a poem and he's published now. And so June 15th is when the San Diego Poetry Annual will open for more submissions for next year. And if you're not published and you'd like to do that, please talk to me after the meeting, get my email address, and let's get you published in the next edition of the San Diego Poetry Annual. Because all these poems that you're hearing today are pushing back against hate and ignorance, and that's what we got to do. Please welcome Jeremy Magno.
Thank you, Jim. I love Jim and all this uh, and with love, I just have to say that I was introduced a little incorrectly. Not that there's like a big difference between the branches or anything like that, but I am a Marine Corps vet. Rah. And this title is a little bit about a little bit or a lot about what made me currently me. It's titled Nothing. Who are you? I hardly know, sir. Nothing of me is original. Alexander the Great. I wish I were Diogenes. Always be Spider-Man. I'm gonna run that back. Alexander the Great. I wish I were Diogenes. Always be yourself, unless you can be Spider-Man. Then of course be Spider-Man. I was surgically removed from my mother on December 16th, 1986 on a US military base in Wiesbaden, Germany. We lived there until I was 3, and my father chose to live with the other woman and start a new family. I moved 8 times before I finished high school, never attending the same school for more than 3 years. I was given the opportunity to reinvent myself repeatedly. They were given the opportunity to find new things on the fresh meat that were different and funny. As we grew, funny grew into confusion. Confusion, read ignorance, grew to angry assertions. You are weird. You're dressed like an orphan. You're just a dumb white boy. You're a clown. You're a freak. You're dressed like a girl. You're a girl. You're a homo. You're a faggot. You are worthless. And anger, as it does, grew to violence. What the teachers and administrators had to say also evolved. Distracting to others, bright, but needs to try harder, does not meet potential. A menace and a communist. Wait, those two are from my dad. Going nowhere, will drag you down, will be lucky to pick up trash, does not belong here. Who are you? Nothing of me is original. I am the combined effort of everyone I've ever met. Let's talk about a phenomenon. It's called the illusionary truth effect. When boiled down to something you can nom on, repetition gets repeated direct. Most repeated equals truth. Thanks, neuron. Is it illusion or truth? It ain't easy to select. So if it's the ideas heard most that stay in the head, one might assume that there's truth in all that they've said. I was born in a tavern in 1775 and manufactured on yellow footsteps. November 7th, 2007, on MCRD San Diego. I was trained there for 3 months until I earned my EGA. I moved 10 times in 4 years and still have too many brothers who still haven't found their way home. We were given the opportunity to serve our country. We were given the opportunity to be heroes. You have been dismantled. You no longer exist. You are nothing. You are less than nothing. All that remains is this recruit. Once the recruit has accepted this and emptied the head of self, the empty jar of a head can be filled with knowledge, tactics, and skill. This recruit requests permission to use the head. This recruit requests permission to eat. This recruit requests permission to pray. This recruit requests that the Lord watch over the core, the country, and this recruit's family. Once the recruit has been trained, they must be tested. Earned, never given, certainly not requested. The crucible, the reaper, the EGA, the few, the proud, leatherneck, jarhead, devil dog, tip of the spear, warfighter, killer, devil, baby killer. A man fires a rifle for many years. He is taught its ways and its uses. When his body is of no more use, he returns the rifle to the armory. He believes he is done with the rifle, yet whatever else he may do with his hands. Love a woman, build a house, hold a firstborn son. His hands remember the rifle and everything he wishes he didn't. It's only after disaster that we can be resurrected. It's only after we've lost everything that you're free to do anything. And now that I have suffered shipwreck, I'm on a good journey. Who are you? Nothing of me is original. I am the combined effort of everyone I've ever met and everything I've ever experienced. Thank you. This is a short one called My Uncle's Misguided Children. It's the one that I wrote in Jim's workshop and got published and got me started on writing poetry. My Uncle's Misguided Children. If you really knew me, you'd know I am lost a lot, sometimes suddenly and often unaware, occasionally on purpose. Online, in order, count them off. Motivated, good to go, misguided children. Smashed to pieces, then manufactured. Empty vessels filled with knowledge, molded and fired. Misguided children. Boxes, grids, sectors. Squared away, oriented, misguided children. If you really knew me, you'd know I haven't always been lost. I was taught, I knew, I declared, this is the way. Steel sharpens steel, forged, tempered, pointed, misguided children. Built up, ground down, worn out, broken, and left. Misguided children. Lines wiggle, disorders, count them off. Out of line, tuned out, misguided children. If you really knew me, you'd know I'm learning to get lost more and more and more and more on purpose. Thank you.
Nice.
So how we say it, pins moving across the page, is my free online poetry workshop for veterans. And the class that he was in was over at a veteran center. There's 22 veterans committing suicide every day in our country. That's unacceptable to me as a Vietnam veteran. I'd like to say all the women who've come to this workshop since Veterans Day 2022, no exceptions, all the women are survivors of what they call MST, military sexual assault. And a couple of those poems are in the San Diego Poetry Annual. You can go to the San Diego Poetry Annual website and download it for free if you don't have the $20 for the book. But please go to the Veterans chapter. You'll see Jeremy's in there. I've got one in there. Joe Malash is in there. I think Michael Turner, you're in there too, aren't you? Okay, so please support the San Diego Poetry Annual. If you know of a veteran that can benefit from being a survivor of trauma, one of the things that the VA cites is moral injury. In other words, you witnessed something or you did something in the war that is against your own value system. And so, please, have them go to jimpoet.com. That's my website. Look at the, how we say it. It's in the right-hand column, and have them come by. It should fit their budget. It's free. So thank you for listening to me. And I met this lady at the Writers Festival last weekend, and I really like our conversation. And her name is Oceana. Let's welcome her to Second Sunday. Put the stool up there too? No problem. I'm gonna put the other microphone on your guitar, or else they won't hear it online. Okay, is that okay right there? You wanna put your book up here? I can move this stuff.
I could just use this.
Can you make that higher? Can you make that stand higher? If I do right here.
Yeah, please.
Absolutely. Can you see it?
Yeah.
A little bit closer.
Can all hear me?
Yes.
First song I'm singing is a song that I wrote for the Baton Death March survivors. I performed it in 2013 at the Baton Corregidor Memorial. And my father was a survivor of World War II's most heinous war crime, the Baton Death March. He survived the march, the death boats, and 4 years in a Japanese slave labor camp. He was 5'11", and he came back weighing 96 pounds. He often said Truman saved our lives when he dropped the bomb. At that time, even though the Germans had surrendered, Emperor Hirohito refused. And of the 2,000 Baton Death March soldiers, all came from the same geographical area of New Mexico. And while this decimated the young men from these families, they also found that their shared similarities as compadres enabled them to help one another and survive the horrors of their treatment. The military no longer assigns men from one geographical area to fight in one arena, but the military cohort system is based on the lessons it did learn from the courage and camaraderie of the Baton Death March survivors. Out of the 2,000 who left, only 400 returned to New Mexico. And in 2013, there was 37, and they were at the memorial. Today, there might be one, but I think he just died. The words in the song, Hasta Fuerte, mean buck up, make yourself, drop your courage for what you're about to endure. And the song says, do not fall. The importance of that is that when they would fall on that march, they were run over by tanks and trucks, just like roadkill. So the song is Hasta Fuerte, oh brother of mine. If you want to join in when the chorus goes, Hasta Fuerte, hermano mío is brother of mine, then please feel free to join at that time.
Hasta Fuerte, hermano mío.
Yes, yes, thank you. I think I'm really not in the best position. I get a little bit more. whenever I need to be.
Don't speak Spanish. Speak strong. Hazte fuerte, hermano mío. Be strong, brother of mine. We all need to be strong. Thank you.
We were soldiers in the Pacific on a death march combatant. Was a tribute, was a tribute to camaraderie, helped us survive as in humanity. Say fuerte, hermano mío. Oh, say fuerte, oh brother of mine. My brothers went on before me. I heard their voices in the sky. You must not falter, oh, keep on marching. I'll stay with you, brother of mine. Of course, the strapping off of my guitar. Yeah. I don't know. I might be a little nervous. Maybe that's why all this is happening. Who knows? Yeah. Thank you. Start over. Okay. We were soldiers in the Pacific on a death march called the 'Twas a tribute to our camaraderie, helped us survive man's inhumanity. Stay fuerte, hermano mío. Stay fuerte, oh brother of mine. My brothers went on before me. I heard their voices in the sky. You must not falter, keep on marching. Stay fuerte, oh brother of mine. With steely courage, whisper in your spirit. You cannot fall now and keep on marching. Though you suffer all manner of torture, you're fighting for freedom, our God and our land. Please join me. Stay fuerte, hermano mío. Stay fuerte, sí, Señor. Stay fuerte, hermano mío. Stay fuerte, oh brother of mine. I stand before you, now an old man who soon will join those brothers of mine. If you listen, you'll hear our voices singing. stay fuerte, oh brother mine. Now as their children, we honor their courage. We tell their story, we take up their call. If you listen, you'll hear their voices sing. I stay fuerte, oh brother mine. With steely courage, faced with our spirit, they kept on marching, though some did fall. Though they suffered from torture, they fought for freedom, our God and our land. Stay fuerte, conmigo. Stay fuerte, sí, Señor. Stay fuerte, conmigo. Make yourself strong, oh brother mine. Eras fuerte, oh Padre de mi corazón. You were strong, beloved Father of mine. Thank you. Thank you. And now the other song that I wrote is when I was a member of the American Legion Auxiliary, we were fundraising for a Fisher House. That is like a Ronald McDonald House for veterans families. And in working with the Blue Star and Gold Star Mothers, they made a beautiful quilt of an American eagle, and we auctioned that off in fundraising for the Fisher House. We were doing that in 2016, and New Mexico finally got its first Fisher House in 2019. And so in talking to the Blue and Gold Star Mothers, it inspired me to write this song. Mama, oh sweet mama, is that you crying? What's that you say? Our children are dying. They say we've gone too far. There's no way back now from the ways of war. I felt him kicking in my room. I never thought I'd lay in his tomb. How can you tell me he's just another casualty in the ways of war? I'll never see that boy again on a skateboard flying by. The smile beneath the ring. I can't just wipe my eyes. I can't just bow my head. I've got to speak out now about the ways of war. When you see blood and death, so innocent, those demons deep inside won't let you ride. Old men will school you. Don't let them fool you about the ways of war. Oh, sweet mother, why are you crying? Don't you know where your son died? Freedom for you and me. Old men will preach to you about the ways of war. Old men will school you. Don't let them fool you about the ways of war. Those costly ways of war. Thank you.
How about a little more love? Oceana. Okay, that was very nice. Meilon, she, our second singer in the room, isn't she? With you and her. Isn't that right? Right. Okay, Ken, is this your first time with us?
Yes.
This is his first time with us. This is Ken Calloway. Let's give him a real warm second Sunday welcome.
Well, it's a thrill and an honor to be on the stage and surrounded by many talented people.
Speak into the microphone, they won't hear you online. Thank you.
Surrounded by many talented people. My wife and I have known Chris Vinoy for 25 years. Met Joe last week at the Writers Festival, and Joe asked if I wanted to come and read from a screenplay. So I'm not a poet and not an actor, so I don't know how well this is going to go. This screenplay, Tolly's Rangers, is loosely based on a dear friend's post-war scouting adventures in England's West Midlands. My friend's parish priest invited his father to a scouting jamboree to tell stories around the campfire each night. His father accepted. The priest's father was J.R.R. Tolkien, and his stories were terrifying. So the protagonist is a 13-year-old kid named Kevin, a young scout who pretty much was forced to go to the jamboree by his mom. So this opens the first night when Tolkien and the kids are around the campfire, and young Kevin is prone to flights of fancy. So he is pretty enthralled by what he hears. So being as a screenplay, there's some stumbling that will take place. So introducing the character Tolly. So Tolly says, a show of hands. Oh, and I'm not an actor, so I'm not going to try to do an English accent or dialect. A show of hands. How many among you believe in monsters, in ghosts? Are any of you afraid of the dark? Kevin leans towards his friend Jacko. Hux, the enemy, looks at the two. Kevin, under his breath, says, don't say a word, mate. Tolly, Ranger Fry, if you want me to hear, you'll have to speak up. Is there something you wish to share? Kevin, I didn't say a thing, sir. Tolly, you didn't speak, or was it something you do not wish to share? Kevin, I'd rather not share, sir. Tolly smiles, then raises his right index finger. Let's avoid using sir. It's Mr. Tolkien or Skipper. I prefer Skipper, and I'll bear most any moniker except sir, and never, ever call me Tolly. The boys let out a low rumbling laugh. Tolly continued. Well then, if I cannot chill your breath, nor crawl your skin with tales of monsters or spirits of the damned, then I must twist your courageous young intestines with a tale unimaginable, a tale of love. A collective groan rises from the scouts. Tolly continued. It happened last year in the light of this very bonfire. I retired for the evening. After the final day of war games, my boys sat here, backs bent, spirits crushed, each more dejected than the next. They had just lost their flag in the Dark Lake archery contest, a game won by the girl guides. How could a girl possibly outshoot the boys? A few of the boys yawned in harmony. Tolly continued. My boys didn't know the lake had been crossed until she entered the firelight. The creature's pallid skin glistened as she pulled a strand of red hair from her lips, letting it fall on her blue stone necklace. The scouts were suddenly transfixed. Kevin's jaw slowly dropped. Though many events change lives, very few actually change time. My boys on that night felt time had stopped when upon Genevieve they first cast their eyes. But that was not so, for in her presence, time was consumed like burning autumn leaves. Tolly picks up a stick and pokes at the fire, then tosses it in. Tolly continued. My boys on that night saw her smile as pure and lovely, but that was not so, for her smile was a reflection of their own diseased and twisted mouths, macabre and drooling expressions of want, with teeth of red sandstone and gnashing and jealousy. Tolly takes a sip of cocoa, then pours the rest into the fire, steaming and hissing. Tolly. The wind rose and the moon obscured by a cloud, and a strange darkness grew around this ferry. My boys on that night saw true darkness for the first time, and each boy knew the light of their youth was extinguished, and each of them felt the loss as a shuddering chill. Now, in most darkness, there are objects that gather light, reflecting knowledge and hope and trust. But in this darkness, in the fairy Genevieve's darkness, each boy saw only her eyes and her ruby lips as she raised and kissed the blue necklace stone. And each boy saw a looming battle, and each felt his soul scrape past bone like rusted swords drawn from ancient scabbards. Each boy tasted sulfur and blood, and each saw himself as a king at her side, or a knight at her knee, or a soldier at Genevieve's feet. Tolly laughs, looks up into the trees, and takes a deep breath. Tolly, my boys, on that night, heard the fairy's voice echo through the trees in a haunting low voice. Wat it der onsk, ush vad skul du handle med? Tolly. Hers was an offer to grant one boy any wish in trade, his soul. Genevieve turned and dove into the black lake. She did not return to the surface. My boys thought her strange tongue as silken and needful, but that was not so, for her voice raged with lashing cruelty at their childish sincerities, and it clawed at their hearts and raked at their loins, as the best of them commandeered the few boats that were moored. Tolly reaches for his eye as if to wipe a tear. My boys on that night fought madly their friends, then the lake, then themselves for a chance to save the drowning ferry. Each boy in each boat spent the sum of his body and soul to reach Genevieve, as the wind hacked and split and spilled their boats over. Tolly walked to the water's edge. Yet each boy had no hope, or had hope. As far and far below, in the deep water, each boy saw ruby lips kissed by shafts of silver moonlight. But that was not so. As in the black cold water, the glinting light became the 1,000 arrows shot at Dark Island, and her ruby lips became blood. Each face torn and each hand cut, each body stabbed, yet each boy still dove deep and deeper through the lakes, tangled ribbons of malice grass. Now bound in the red darkness, their minds saw bright light, and the fairy as she caressed their splitting and dying lungs. Polly pulls a long strand of malice grass from the water's edge. Those on the shore screamed at the trees and the moon with clenched white fists and searing jealousy. They did not know of the arrows and the blood and the malice grass, the green living dungeon chains that now entwined each of the fairy Genevieve's would-be saviors. Tolly wrapped the grass around his arm and down to his wrist, then raised the strand like a garrote near his throat. O malicious and cunning fiend that bound and twisted and drowned, and this fiend was not named Malice Grass, it was named Love, and it forced the last knight and the last king and the last soldier of Genevieve to surrender the water his lungs, to give their lives. My boys on that night became the lake and the singular madness of want for love unimaginable an hour before. Were there actually monsters? No. Just the malice grass. Were there ghosts? No. Just Britannia's boys who traded loyalty and life for wish and want. Finally, you ask, was there love? When you close your eyes tonight and wake tomorrow, know that a hero can wish dead all his friends as if brushing crumbs from the table, and a coward can climb the 100 high mountains for a love that was never and can never be.
You only have 5 minutes. You're way over.
Oh, I was waiting for a buzzer. The end.
Let's give him some love. That was the first time. And the egg timer wasn't loud enough. Please come back. I think your script has national significance. So you're welcome to stay afterwards and have them read the ending to you. Yes. But we have people waiting to read. So we want to be aware of them too. Deborah Albritton, is this your first time here? Let's give her some warm love. You only have 5 minutes here.
Thanks, Jim. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I'm going to read 2 poems from a manuscript of mine that's out in the mails right now. The poems are on addiction, and they're all based on interviews. Each poem contains a dialogue between the person being interviewed and the observer, and the people speaking in the poems are either suffering from the disease of addiction, or they're a relative, friend, or caregiver of someone with addiction. The collection is not limited to just one area of misuse. There are many others, including steroids. Jackson. Steep stairs down. Enter at your own risk, doorknob hanger. In the morning, I like waking up to a little bit left over. Leans back against Carpe, the fucking DM pillow. God, I mean good. That's just enough. Smoke cloud rises. Can't handle the nausea if I run out. Megan Fox poster in black bikini. My mom wants me to go for therapy, but what good would it do spilling my guts out to some stranger? I've done that since I was 12. Bicycle with missing tire. Projected stars, blue then green, on ceiling of duct tape and pipes. When I was homeless, I'd call Mom and she'd send a pizza. After a year of her not knowing if I was dead or alive, they let me come home. Crumpled cans of Monster energy drinks. The less Dad sees of me, the better, for the most part. Sits on the edge of the bed, reloads, shuts blinds. I wish I didn't hurt Mom so much. She deserves better. Answers phone. No, man, I swear I didn't take it. Ends call. God damn it, I would kill for, oh, hey, please, no pamphlets on your way out. I don't need help, okay? Brian and Samantha. When we told our daughter she couldn't live with us anymore, it was a day just like today. Looks outside, raining and freezing cold. My wife had packed some clothes and some cash, and we literally handed her the backpack and opened the front door, gestured with right arm. Our 19-year-old, 100-pound daughter stayed on our front porch for 3 nights screaming. Takes Samantha's hand, squeezes. We were advised not to call 911 or the police. Raises eyebrows, sighs. Those were the longest nights of our lives. We turned the volume up on the TV and just cried. That was about 7 months ago. We're not sure where she sleeps at night. Looks at Samantha, whose hands are shaking. Occasionally she'll come by and we talk to her through the front window. She doesn't ask for anything. Maybe that's progress. It seems like she just wants to see us. Voice cracks. Once we handed her a coat through the door. It was raining, and she was only wearing shorts and a tank top. We're not religious, but this is the prayer on our fridge. It has to be. We bless you with love and release you from our lives.
University of Florida just won the national championship in collegiate basketball. I'm a Gator, and our next poet is a Gator. I used to come to the events that she would put on, one-woman events a lot of the time, and I was amazed at how she would sing, how she would dance, how she would recite. She's got it all. This is Jill Badomski.
Thanks for that introduction. It's nice to see some familiar faces and names. Ron, I get your poem a week. But how many years have you been doing that? 15 years. If you're not on his list, a poem a week. Ray Bradbury said, we must stay drunk on writing so we don't get destroyed by reality. So I've written these poems drunk. So not a lot of reality in these poems. This was from a prompt of these 3 words or concepts: college, lemonade stands, and daydreams. I graduated college with an MBA in lemonade stands. I have a successful franchise of lemonade stands located throughout the Pacific Northwest, the Pacific Southwest, and La Mesa. They are called It's Life, Make Lemonade. My lemonade stands are spectacularly successful. Spectacularly successful. My lemonade formula has a special additive that induces daydreams. The best kind of daydreams. Daydreams about tropical islands, ocean breezes, palm trees, and crystal blue water dolphins. Need I say more? There's also lemon chiffon pie. If you're ever in the Pacific Northwest, the Pacific Southwest, or La Mesa, look up Make Lemonade stands. It's in the yellow pages. Thank you for those who get my obscure humor. This one is, I'm ordering from DoorDash. Hello, I'd like to order a tuna sandwich on sour rye from Clem's Bottle House, crab cakes from Blue Bohem, a chocolate fountain from Fondue Palace. My mom, there are a few things I need for her to know that I failed to tell her when she was alive. Spring rolls from Purple Mint, 3-bean salad from Ralph's. The year 2002, my choices were really fucked up that year. 2 tickets to Kandinsky at the Guggenheim, a new brain, pep, and for people to be kinder to each other. For God's sake, what else is there? Please leave it on my porch and ring the bell. Thank you.
Thanks, Jill. That's good. That was good stuff. In the yellow pages, all right. Robin Breeze, is this your first time with us? Robin? Of course not. Of course not. Please welcome Robin Breeze. This is Jill's other half.
Just wanted to hide it so I can hide behind it. So I'm glad Jill went before me. The mountains, magnificent, majestic, marvelous. These are our friends. They provide us with respite from our daily grind, inspiration in their grandeur, but they're not the kind of friend that will lend you their car. Mountains don't have cars. The streams and rivers, the ocean with its shore and its waves, these are also friends. We can boat on them and swim in them and walk by their shore, but they won't lend you $20 till next week. They don't have any money. The wind and the sky and the clouds that drift by, we can float with them in our daydreams and find familiar figures in their shifting shapes. Ask them to help you move. Even if you say you'll buy pizza and beer, they won't help you. They're all fucking useless. This is more of a love poem. I might rework the end of that last one. Maybe not. A break in the smoke ring smiled in the mellow yet gray rain and suggested we slow down and relax. We rhymed with orange cards under a thirsty tree, listening to the moss and the music from the sandwiches. There was no reason in the mix. We finished the salad that played in the bowl. We made the whole thing up. Frog veils rained in the wet. Small time sounded the afternoon as we sat on the edge of the continent, flying the pelicans past our perch, floating on an ocean of emotion. Satisfied, we walked back, past the posies to the parked car, and listened to the radio and the rain, and we drove south past crowded coffee houses. There is no razor like the night. There is no leveler like failure. There is no craft like love. There is no damage like sweat. There is no villain like the heart. There is no wind like imagination. There are no tears. There is no sound like tears. There is no sting like sorrow. There is no pain like the sun. There is no light like quiet. There is no prick like a feather. There is no want like compassion. There is no help like a burden. There is no end like silence. You all deserve a sales pitch. The new parallel parking and backup technologies free you from the burden of learning how to drive. Why expand your skill set and be a more competent human being when you can sit back and watch yourself be replaced by a computer? Now all you need to do is sit and metabolize. On second thought, why should we continue to feed and clothe and shelter you at all? You are all now useless and irrelevant. It's a brave new world where you are no longer necessary. Good for you. Now you are free to do nothing at all. Why waste your precious energy doing anything of value when we have the technology to do everything you were ever capable of? Don't get in the way of the future. Enjoy yourself. There's no other reason for you to be here. It drives itself. It stays in its lane. It flows with traffic. It backs up on its own. It parallel parks. It puts lotion on its skin. It's fun. It's new. It's fancy. Everyone wants one, but be the first one to have one. Pay the premium to get one before everyone else does. Live the privilege of being among the few who can tell everyone else that the new thing sucks. How hip and fussy and hard to please would you look then? Your friends have no idea how high your standards are. How cool does that make you look? It's hard to imagine, but worth every penny. I've been selling this same bullshit since the first time it was floated out there, and it worked. It still works. Step right up, pitch a tent on the sidewalk outside the store. Don't let anyone tell you you look like a fool. They're just jealous. You are so cool. Hell yeah, bro.
Their house is very, very crowded. Robin, Jill, and two muses. Give them both some love, please. Very nice. Very nice job. So our next poet was a feature last month, and she was doing a book launching. She's the co-founder of the African American Writers and Artists with Jimmy Collins. And last month, she turned over, be safe out there. She turned over the leadership of the African American Writers and Artists to young Prince and did a little ceremony of that. Please welcome a very talented Sylvia Telefaro.
God bless America, land that I love. This is the dance of fascism. The dance of fascism is seductive, creeping and flowing past you that you hardly notice. That you are in rhythm with this vibration, disguised as patriotism, like a Make America Great Again song. The dance of fascism guides the rhythm, adapting the tune to the listener, proclaiming traditional law and order. The dance of fascism resembles the civil rights era dance of funky chicken, resembling nothing of what it really is, yet apparent by the description of the odor described in the dance. This is a dance we can't simply ignore anymore. Listen to the flapping of the limbs and the knowing. Fascism wins when we tune out. We are familiar with this dance, endowed with the innate knowledge that no one is coming to save us. Knowing we are the firewall, we are the resistance, we are the guardians of democracy. The first it affects when fascism claims the next dance. Knowing we have always refused to stay silent when human rights are being stripped away. So today, we will not look the other way. we would not stay on our knees and just pray. Today, we would not stay silent. Empowered with hope and courage, they dance the dance of descent. Listen to the tune, then choose your move, dancing to your own beat. Thank you. Yeah.
She has some books for sale over here, if you like the way she wrote. And remember, Brian has some books. There's, you don't have to leave when we're all done with the poetry. You can browse, you can walk up to a poet that you want to know what their influences or the work habits, whatever. We sort of have that legacy here where we want you to feel the community that we are. All right. And so our last poet went to Washington, D.C. and went to a march and in March. And we never know if he's going to sing or he's going to read or what he's going to do, but he's very talented. This is Alistair McLeod.
Posters. These poster slides and posters. Damn it. No, it's not that one. Go back. Go to posters. That's it. Yep. Right, so how do we do that? That's what we want. I don't think I can read it. Good afternoon, everybody. Very good to see you all. It's true, I did fly to Washington on March 14th and participated in a gathering on the Mall, which was just the most wonderful experience for me, but it was actually a very, very minor warm-up to what was to come. There were only about 2,000 people on the National Mall at that time. But I went through things there that made me realize how much I love America. A sentiment I do not speak very often. I find it embarrassing, but I shouldn't, but I do. But I do. I chose America. I'm not native born. I'm an immigrant. It means a lot to me. I want to help us do what needs to be done. What needs to be done is not going backwards. We are in a process, I believe, of an extremely painful, disruptive birth. And we need to find the strength and the courage to embrace change. It's not, the old American is gone, period, fini, over. What the new America will be like, we don't know yet. I have a series of slides here. I don't know if you're going to be able to read or not, but I will read them with you. And I'll explain very briefly. Hannah Arendt, back in the early 50s, wrote a book called The Origins of Totalitarianism. Among many things that she said, I can't read it myself. Maybe I can. Thank you. Totalitarianism in power invariably replaces all first-rate talents, regardless of their sympathies, with those crackpots and fools whose lack of intelligence and creativity is still the best guarantee of their loyalty. Next slide. This is Harriet Tubman, who, of course, was the extraordinarily brave woman who ran the Underground Railroad and freed many, many, many slaves. And this is something she said, which I just love. People don't understand why I love this so much, but I'm going to read that one. If you hear the dogs, keep going. If you see the torches in the woods, keep going. If they're shouting after you, keep going. Don't ever stop. Keep going. If you want a taste of freedom, keep going. Next slide. James Baldwin, an extraordinary figure, again from the 50s. He was a gay black man at a time when being either gay or black was practically a recipe for disaster. But he was brilliant. And among other things he said was, ignorance allied with power is the most ferocious enemy justice can have. This is Louis Brandeis, who was a Supreme Court justice in the period between the two world wars. His tenure on this court bridged the Great Depression.
Jim, after this is over.
For some reason, this seems to me one of the most profound things I've ever read. It's very, very simple. He said, if we would be guided by the light of reason, we must let our minds be bold. What he meant was, if we're going to think clearly, we don't know where we might end up. We better have guts as well as brains. Next one, please. This is a woman that I don't know well. She's a Nobel laureate. She's from the Philippines. And she says, you don't know who you are until you've been tested, until you fight for what you believe in, because that defines who you are. Your battle for what you believe, that's who you are. And if you don't fight, you're nobody. This is the back of Martin Luther King's head as he's speaking to a big crowd in Washington. And he said, among many other wonderful things, the end we seek is a society at peace with itself, a society that can live with its conscience. Can't say it better than that. I think there's one more, yes. This is an image of Thomas Jefferson that appears on the $2 bill. And it's not clear that he actually said this because there's no record of it, but it's attributed to him. And it's the best of all. When injustice becomes law, resistance becomes duty.
Yes.
I think that's all. I don't, if you're in there, lost him. Oh, yeah.
That's it.
No, that's back to start.
That's back to the beginning.
Now, thank you.
Thank you.
Do I have any time?
That's it.
That's good.
Well done, sir.
No. Oh, and I'm going to sneak in. Get this book. This book is a book that Mark Zuckerberg tried to have suppressed. Failed. It is the most extraordinary story I have ever read, both on a physical level of the woman who wrote it and an expose of a man who didn't get anything.
Thank you. Oh, some more love for Alistair. And we have a quick announcement from Alfred before we go to our last point for the day. Thank you very much for coming out.
Okay.
come to the microphone, please?
You got it.
So the people on the internet can hear you.
Okay, so I'm a writer, director, and filmmaker, and I've been working on a film project for about 2.5 years, and I'm going to have a premiere for the show May 24th at the Golden Hill Public Library from 2 to 4, and May 31st from 2 to 4 at the Golden Hill Public Library. It's a TV series. It's a 4-hour action adventure superhero TV series called Heroes of Pacific City. And I wrote it and directed it, edited, did all the special effects. And the plot is that a small town has been invaded by aliens that are replacing the people in the society with doppelgangers. And the military, the local police, and the government have sided with the aliens. So the people have to rise up and fight to defend the planet. And they become the heroes of Pacific City. And what I'd like to do is show you the trailer. It is 2 minutes long.
So I want to invite you all out, get in contact with Jim, and I'll have a flyer ready. And I just want to get as many people out to the show as possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
In May 24th and 31st.
He's been working on this 2.5 years. Yeah. Yeah, and look for Alfred. So this is real special to me. You'll help me keep my sanity when you show up and you read from your hearts. Thank you so much. And this is called Why the Gods Weep for Single Moms. And we hope we see you next month too. Second Sunday. This is a quote from Frederick Douglass. This is the epigram of the poem. Emancipation would not be granted. It must be taken. Governments act from necessity. They move only as they are moved upon. Our government is no exception to this rule. It cannot determine what shall be the character of events, especially when the president has no character other than his felonious, sexist, racist, mendacious behavior. Oh, I said that.
I was about to say,
Frederick Douglass. Yesterday, when I was driving back from the celebration of life, Bernie Sanders and AOC were speaking in LA to 36,000 people. And that is, if you go on YouTube, you can pick that up and you can hear how they feel that we haven't lost our government, but we got to take it back. I lived inside my first storyteller, only for the months she wove with the threads of my life. Maybe she played a record on the music box of Eddie or Peter Duchin, music that would comfort me in her womb. My mother might have played the piano or listened to Ferrante and Teicher as she braided my German, Scotch, Irish, Indian locks. My sisters heard my mother play the piano and the organ. My mom was quite the musician, but she stopped playing after I was born. The music of her stories was what she played for me. Ocean tides moved by the songs of the moon. My mother's stories filled my ears. A double major she was, English and history, at the Girls Ohio Catholic College. Her hand cramping in pain from the stress of writing too many papers. Teaching high school in New York City after graduation, hating the job, hearing the call of the sea. On Saturdays, every Saturday for 1 year, sitting in the office of Grace Lines, applying for work on the ships of the line, and landing a gig as the manager of a gift shop on the USS Santa Barbara. You see, my mom was born to be in charge of something. The gift shop, division manager of 3 retail companies, her Catholic faith, her children. She left my father's violence and infidelities, moved her abode and her children to Orlando from Pittsburgh, seeking a better life of sunshine, freedom, and safety. She was in charge. I remember one frightening thunder and lightning storm. My mom sat us all at the dining room table and lit a blessed candle. She had us hold hands around the table and had us pray together as the winds outside howled and the lightning strikes and thunder bammed and boomed like the enemy's rockets, the 122s that scared the hell out of you. It was not her first frightening storm, not her first rodeo. My mother was always at her best when she was in charge. The gods always weep when miracles of grace and love bless single moms with children to raise. Be safe out there. We'll see you next month.